Chapter 11. Red God. Calm. I expect my ears to ring from this new silence, but they don't. My balance seems strange, like I've just stepped off a roller coaster and my feet aren't sure whether to trust the steady ground or not. I reach up to run my hand through my wet hair, only to find it's not wet. My clothes aren't wet either. The cuts and bruises are still there though, so wherever I've just stepped in from was at least partially real. I think of it as stepping in, since I'm back inside again, or at least I seem to be. This is what I'd originally expected to find inside something called a temple. If an old Christian church is a type of temple, that is, that's what this place looks like. The ceiling is held up by ancient-looking wooden beams, and the high walls and hard floors are made up of large, undecorated stones. Leading away from me, all the way along the building, are dark wooden pews. They're empty. Right at the front stands an altar, a big table draped in white and red, and with a large ornate golden box, like a tabernacle, sat on top of it. The whole place is illuminated by the golden sunlight coming in from the single large checkered window above the altar. My mind even gives me the effect of dust motes dancing in the beams. The place seems to smell holy too, if that's possible. I've never been religious, but I suddenly get the same serene feeling I had when I first entered the valley outside, back before it and I had a falling out. I feel like everything is going to be all right, like I can relax now. I take a deep breath in and get the scent of some sort of incense, and behind it all the smell of age, like old books in a great library. I get the feeling that this place somehow radiates knowledge, wisdom, power. Up at the front, beside the altar, stands my cleric. He turns as he hears me breathe out with a sigh. When he sees me, he doesn't run. Somehow I knew he wouldn't. Instead, he nods his head at me and returns to his task, closing up the 3 small black boxes that he's placed on the altar in front of the golden tabernacle. So, even here you continue to kill. Afraid so, I tell him. Your friends didn't seem to like me much. I did try to warn them about you. They should have listened. Well, he concedes, it does not matter now. And why is that? I ask. I'm expecting more of a rant about how my people have killed his, about how I've killed his people, like I was personally responsible for the whole thing. Instead, he walks over and sits down on the pew nearest to the front, and then taps the space beside him in a grandfatherly fashion. Come. If you want to kill me, you can do so later, yes? Later's as good as now, I suppose. At least he knows he's got it coming. It'll take some of the surprise out of it later on. I walk over and sit beside him, but with a good bit of space between us. I rest the sword beside me on the wooden bench. I keep it out of his reach. No sense in being overly trusting. Well, I say, it seems to me like the last time we spoke you weren't too happy with me. Why are you being so friendly now? You are not my friend, he says bluntly. Fair enough. I did not choose to be a cleric, he continues. No cleric does. We are born this way. Did you know this? He asks. No, I tell him truthfully. The fact is we don't know much about their society at all. No human had ever set foot on this planet before 1 billion of us all turned up at once, and then we weren't here for any sort of cultural exchange. All we were told about Red Society in our training is that the clerics rule the rest, that they see themselves as being placed there by divine mandate or some such nonsense. Who chooses the clerics then? God, of course. Bingo. And did he tell you to go to war with us? 2 of the gods did, and 2 did not. So there's 4 of them. Of course, the cleric answers, like I should know this. So, if the gods couldn't agree on what to do, how did you decide? As we always do. A congregation of the clerics was called, and the issue was debated. Is this not how your people decide such things? I guess it is. That sounds exactly like the politics I recognise, in fact. A few elite guys playing their power games while everyone else waits on the decisions, their lives hanging in the balance. And in the end you chose war? No. He raises his hand to me and points a long red finger. You chose war. We just chose to fight you. I'm not having this argument again, I warn him. I know what I know. I think. If I remember rightly, it didn't end well for you last time. Always you resort to violence, even here, even now. He stands and walks away from me towards the altar. This is why we made the decision that we did. We believed we had no choice. He pauses. I believed that we had no choice, though I should have known better. Tell me then, I say, why were 2 out of the 4 of your gods so against it? The cleric rests his hand on the altar, looking drained. You have seen the world outside, yes? So have I. So did the gods, before it was the way it is now. My God warned us, warned me, that this would be the result of a war with your people. So they can see the future now too, I say dismissively. Maybe you should listen the next time your God gives you some orders. The gods do not give orders, he informs me. They give us life, and they give us guidance. The people speak to the gods, and the gods speak to the clerics. This is how decisions are made. Seems to me that some bad decisions were made this time around. Maybe you need to find some new gods. That is not possible. You cannot choose your god. You can where I'm from, I tell him. People do it all the time. Poor people, desperate people, old people, stupid people. Then you are from a strange place indeed. Stranger than even I had realized. He's not wrong there. Perhaps that was the problem, the cleric continues. Perhaps we did not know enough about your people to make the right decisions. Too late now, I guess. No, the cleric turns towards me. It is not too late. You have killed my people and killed our gods. All but one. This god would speak with you. I'm right here listening, I tell him with a smirk. But I've never heard a god's voice before. I doubt I'm going to start now. Of course you have not, he says. You are not a cleric of your people, but here, in this place, you can join with my god. Of course I can. Like I said, I'm right here. The cleric turns to the altar and opens the large door of the tabernacle. Inside I can see the 3 storage rods. The sight draws me to my feet, and I walk towards the golden box without thinking. I stand before the altar and reach in. As my hand enters the tabernacle, it feels like time starts to slow. I see my hand moving sluggishly through the interior of the box, as if the whole thing was full of thick, clear liquid. It moves past the rods, as if it was being dragged in, out of my control. Then it is being dragged in, and I can't stop it. My arm follows. I try to pull back, but I can't stop it. I try to yell as I'm dragged into my shoulder, but then the liquid is in my mouth. And then I'm gone. Into the black.